Hello, kindergartners and first graders. Welcome to another digital art lesson. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Ben and I will be your art teacher this year. Let's talk about what materials we're going to need for today's lesson. Our sketchbooks or a piece of paper. We're going to need a pencil and an eraser. And for our coloring materials today, I would like you all to use crayons. Okay, so today we will be using an apple for our subject in our still life. I like to draw apples this time of year because they are particularly tasty and they are in season and fall is just around the corner. So I like to do this project this time of year. So if you don't have an apple in the house, that's okay. If you have other kind of fruit, you could draw that. Or you could go onto Google and you can draw from an apple photograph. So if you go onto Google and you go to images and you type in apple photograph, I would like you to draw from an apple photograph. Okay, so some of you might be wondering, what is a still life? What has Ben talking about? Well, in art, a still life is when you draw an object that doesn't move the entire time that you're drawing it. So for example, today we'll be drawing apples and I'm going to put it on a surface and have it sit still the entire time I draw it. So you'll learn as you continue your art lessons that drawing still objects will help improve your drawing techniques, okay? So when we draw still objects, it really allows us to focus on the different shapes and forms of whatever it is we're trying to draw. It also allows us to focus on the lighting. So you can see as I move this bottle, the highlights change. If I hold it like this, you can see these two highlights right on this side of the bottle. And there's a shadow on this side, right? So drawing still objects allows you to focus on the lighting and the different shape and dimension and form of whatever it is you're trying to draw. So apples have been used in art for a very, very long time. They've been painted and drawn and sculpted because of their beautiful shape and form. Now, I know all of you are learning from Miss Kobayashi in the kindergarten, specifically about shapes. Now, we're learning that if it's not flat, so a flat shape would be a circle. So this is a circle. But if it's not flat, then it becomes a sphere. And an apple is a perfect example of a sphere. Another example of a sphere would be this baseball. It's not flat. It is a three-dimensional form, shape. Okay? So, how do you make a three-dimensional shape look real on paper? How do you make this look like it's coming off of the paper? Well, I'll show you right now. You can add shading to make it look like it is coming off of the paper. And you can also add a shadow. When we're drawing our apples today, I want you to keep an eye out for the shadows. Now, I know some of you have drawn an apple like this, and that is totally fine. And I still draw apples like this today. But for this project, I'm gonna ask that you really try to pay attention to the shape of the apple that you're trying to draw, as well as the color of the apple. So I wouldn't color this in just red because as you can see, there's a yellow and green inside the colors of the apple as well. It's almost as if those colors are underneath of each other or layered on top of each other. And that is another reason that apples have been represented in art for so long as well. It's because of their beautiful colors. Okay? So let me show you my example, and then we can talk about what we're going to do today. So here is my shadow down here. And again, I tried my best to make the apple look like it was realistic, or like it was coming off of the page. I put lots of different colors inside of my drawing. Let me share with you how many different colors I added. So these are all the colors that I used in my drawing of my apple. I layered lots of colors and blended lots of colors. And I used lots of different shades of one color. These are all different shades of green, 3 different shades of the same color. So when you place your apple down on the surface, try to take a look at where the shadows are. My light in this room is coming from over there, from my window. So my apple is lit like this. So you can see my highlight right here because my light is coming from that direction. And my shadow is right here because it's the opposite side of where my highlight is. So if my highlight is over here, then my shadow is going to be on the opposite side right there. You all can see the shadow there, and it's darker right underneath of the apple. Okay, so one more quick thing before you all get started on the lesson today. I wanted to talk about dimension. So in art, when you're using dimension, you're trying to make something look more 3-dimensional. For example, this apple is a 3-dimensional object. We talked about that in the video, right? So how would you make it look 3-dimensional on your piece of paper? Well, here's one little tip of how you can make something look more 3-dimensional. So I'm going to use the example of our jack-o'-lantern in jail. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my jack-o'-lantern. Here he is. That's our jack-o'-lantern. Now, if I draw the lines on the jack-o'-lantern, all you know pumpkins have lines, right? If I draw the lines like this, my jack-o'-lantern is just going to kind of look like he's in jail. But now if I try to draw my lines a different way, it might look like the jack-o'-lantern is coming off of the paper. Let's try. I have my jack-o'-lantern. Let's try to draw the lines a different way and see if it does anything different to the drawing. I'm going to draw them curved. The way the curves of the pumpkin would look in real life. Now I know it's a little harder to see the jack-o'-lantern's face now, but you can see it looks like he's coming towards you or off of the paper or the whiteboard for this example, okay? That's because I chose to use curved lines instead of straight lines. So really try to focus on the types of lines that you're using when you're doing your still life today. The other thing is that when I drew the apple before, and I had the stem right on the top and the leaf like this, my apple doesn't have a leaf on it. And the stem actually looks like it's going a little more on the inside, like this. So keep in mind where your stem is and where does it look like it's coming from. Does it look like it's coming from on top of the apple, or does it look like it's coming from inside of the apple, which is where it actually is? Okay, kindergartners and first graders, I hope you had fun doing the art lesson today. I look forward to seeing some of the artwork from today's lesson, and I will see you all next week.